There are very few games that give you the freedom to make someone else's possessions your own. There are even fewer that let you return them when your conscience finally catches up to you. In Grand Theft Auto, you can take their money, you can take their cars, and make them yours, but you can't return it and say, no hard feelings. Skyrim excels in this area, as you can take and give back nearly any item as many times as you wish. What if we did a challenge very loosely based on this principle? Can you beat Skyrim using only potions? The rules for this challenge are a bit flimsy, as there will be a weapon involved in this run. This weapon is the ancestral sword of Clan Iceblade, as it has a base damage of 0, but can be poisoned, allowing enemies that can be pickpocketed to be killed using our potions, such as dragons, draugr, and frostbite spiders, all without damaging enemy with anything but our homemade Sweetie Inheritance juice. The rules are as follows: no damaging an enemy with anything but potions or poisons. This means a stealth archer is out of the question, along with stealth mage, stealth fighter, stealth vampire, stealth brawler, and stealth werewolf. No companions. This would be too easy, as all the weapons you would give yourself, you could just slip to your follower, who would do the whole fight for you. There are some areas this may not work, such as having Delphine as your follower for a mission, but no followers will be commanded to follow me. Even if an enemy can be pickpocketed, we may use the sword anyway. You can't pickpocket an enemy that's hostile, and getting caught pickpocketing makes an enemy hostile. This leads to a lot of saving and reloading. I don't want to do that. Lastly, no fun. No Skyrim challenge would be complete without this rule, and in order to adhere to this one, we will be on Legendary. Get ready, because we're taking a trip to Flavortown. We wake up on a cart, surrounded by stormcucks, and are informed of our past we have no memory of. It's probably for the best. When we arrive at Helgen, the coolest crib on the block, we choose our character, a wood elf with the most beautiful name I could think of. Steely McStealer. We start as a wood elf because they start with a bonus to sneak, pickpocket, and alchemy, our 3 most used skills this run. We have our date with death, interrupted by a dragon with salsa breath, and make our way with Ralof, our stepbrother in binds, into Helgen Keep. We are untied once inside the keep and are ambushed by Imperial soldiers. I started by letting Ralof beat on them while I hid like the real man I am, but he went down and did barely any damage before doing anything. My difficulty is on Legendary, so if I were to have waited for Ralof to defeat the Imperials, this battle would have continued for hours, as higher difficulty means higher health for enemies. Instead of going through this depraved cock and ball torture, I grabbed a bucket and clipped into a room we are supposed to get to later on. That seems to have broken a lot of the enemy AI. There were enemies that wouldn't attack me, such as the Imperial Torturer. There were enemies that didn't spawn, such as the enemies in the room with the potions, and there were scenes that just didn't play out, like the tunnel collapsing. The only things that stayed the same were the frostbite spiders and bear at the end. I ran past both. Long story short, I made it through the keep with very little trouble. Once outside, we head to Riverwood, where we get Faendal in our back pocket to be used later for free experience and perk points. As a follower, he can train you in a skill, archery, and you can get your money back, meaning free level ups. This is done by recruiting a follower capable of training you in a skill, in this case Faendal, with archery, and ask them to train you in that skill. After doing it as many times as allowed, you can ask them to trade with you and you can take your money back. It's like shooting the hooker in Grand Theft Auto to get your money back, but in this case, the person isn't easily replaceable. We talk to the lady at the sawmill and get some supplies, quickly turning around and selling what she gave us for a few measly gold pieces. We also help Alvor for some free items and smithing experience. After those 3 things were done, we made our way to Whiterun, where we reverse penetrated the town's defenses, broke into a man's chest, and sold what was inside. This was done using the barrel by the entrance to get out of bounds and get under the Skyforge. We used a weapon to power attack our over-encumbered looking ass to Adrian Avenici to sell everything, walking away with just under 2,000 gold. We make our way to Riften using the carriage to get this run on the right track. We start the Thieves Guild questline by stealing and planting a ring, and come to an impasse when we have to go through the Radaway. In there are many enemies we are unable to fight in any way. I was the red-headed stepchild, and they were my stepdad. I was stabbed, hit, shot, beat, hurt, insulted, and killed, even when I thought it was all over. I did eventually make it to the Ragged Flagon, but the 2 guys from the entrance to the Radaway still followed me. I had to reload my save about 3 times before I had the bright idea to hide. This took a while to get them to leave me alone and stop looking, but it definitely was the right choice. I got my next quest from Brynjolf, who wants me to collect some debts. This would be fine, but I have to brawl with the targets to get the gold. Brawling is not allowed, as it's not a potion or poison. This made getting Thieves Guild armor literally impossible, leaving me with a scrapped idea and broken dreams. With our defeat in the past and our future bright, we made our way to the Riften Cemetery, where a thief stood in wait to ambush someone. This happened to be us. So we led him to the guards who did the dirty work for us, allowing us to loot the note off his now uninhabited body. This note tells us to do a few boring things like break into a safe box, plant a forged deed, and lastly, steal a sword from a tomb. We will not be returning the sword, meaning this quest will remain incomplete for the remainder of the run. It's the one we discussed earlier that does 0 damage, allowing poisons to kill enemies that can't be pickpocketed, such as dragons or Draugr. Post-filming Asher here, I was unaware of Draugr's immunity to poisons the entire time I'd written this entire script up until Bleak Falls Barrow. We set off to get the rest of the game in motion. We fast travel back to Whiterun, and with the help of the carriage driver unlock a few places as fast travel points, then head to grab the sword from the dungeon. This was a part I overcomplicated for absolutely no reason. I didn't realize how easy it would be to grab the sword, so I decided to use buckets to try and clip directly to the end of the dungeon. This worked for me, in the sense that I got to the end, but there's 2 segments to this dungeon. The easy part, the part we needed to do, and the hard part for a separate mission. I clipped to the end of the hard area. I retraced my steps and ended up in the main area that connected the 2 branches you could explore. There were about 5 Draugr, all ready to make me their bitch-ass bubble-bottom monkey. I died a few times trying to figure out how to handle them, only to realize I could lead them into a trap that would handle them for me. This worked great and left me with one that wouldn't go towards the trap despite my best efforts. I ended up having to sneak past this one, but not before dying a few times trying to do so. Long story short, I had to do the mission the intended way, not my way. I grabbed the sword and ran back home to my mama. After I made my escape, I returned to Dawnstar and farmed the secret chest, making my fortune. I made about 18k gold before deciding to start farming for ingredients in preparation for the alchemy restoration loot. This would be vital to the run, as the strongest poisons you can make without using this glitch would be insufficient to take down even a bandit at higher levels. As a reminder, I am not using followers, and I am on legendary difficulty. If you're upset, bite me. I farmed the alchemy vendors at both Dawnstar and Whiterun for about 3 whole episodes, a total of about 5 hours. And even after having what I thought was plenty of ingredients, it wasn't nearly enough for the loop to get very far. I would need a higher alchemy skill, stronger enchanted gear, and even more ingredients. When I first got to Dawnstar, there were no Khajiit traders, so I had to wait a few times before they showed up. This took in-game 2 days before something showed up. It was not our feline friends, but instead was thugs sent to attack me by someone I'm not sure who. Probably the one guy who did that one thing. Anyway, I was unable to defeat the 3 enemies with only the poisons I had available, as when I tried to fight, I barely saw his health drop and I was brought nearly to my knees. I ended up making an escape to the lighthouse where I was able to wait but still saw their dots on the compass. After 3 in-game hours, I saw a dot close to where I stood. I thought it was a bug, or maybe they were caught against a rock. A moment later, a thug spawned on me, startled me, and I retreated to the sea. I encountered what I believe to be a sea monster, previously unknown to any Skyrim player, but never really confirmed, so I'll just assume I'm right. I returned to farming the Dawnstar chest when the coast was clear. After I'd finished about 6 trips of farming, I realized something. Child's dolls were considered quest items in my inventory, meaning I was unable to drop or sell them, making me permanently 42 pounds heavier. This was likely where my back pain originated. Not wanting to drop half my potions to reduce my weight, I decided the best way to get rid of them was to adopt a child and gift the dolls to said child. This presented a new challenge: getting a house with suitable living condition for children. My first idea was to use Golden Hills Plantation. I cleared the place and was ready to get it all going, but since I had no one suitable to be a steward, I had to go another route. I'd need a house that's easy and simple to get. I thought immediately of Hendrheim. This was an idea for sure, but not a thoroughly thought out one. I was incapable of defeating the lady with the key when I first went. I had limited damage potential, as all damage comes from poisons, which I was in limited supply. Together, my horse and I brought her to her knees, but by then, I was out of poisons, and the horse attacks so slowly, she stands up healed before we could win. I was devastated. I returned to Dawnstar with the intent of creating potions and poisons, which took a while, but I did eventually gather more potion ingredients by farming the Dawnstar chest, over and over, again. This eventually led to me having a bunch of potions, poisons, and confidence to return and fight for the home. Keep in mind, all this is for getting rid of the damn child's dolls. When I returned to Hendrheim for what I hoped to be the last time, I was ready. I had a bunch of potions and a horse to back me up. Together, Steely McStealer and Steely McStealer's horse beat the crap out of Steely McStealer and Steely McStealer's horse's prey. This was a very slow battle, one filled with menu screens, pausing, poisoning, and waiting. I used what felt like damn near 100 poisons that battle, ultimately resulting in the untimely demise of our late friend, the bitch with the key. We explored our new home and found nothing too interesting and continued with our current goal, to get a child. Unfortunately, you are unable to abduct one and are forced to adopt one. Ultimately, I decided upon Lucia, the begging orphan in Whiterun. We also learned that child abuse is semi-legal in Skyrim, as you can get 3 hits in before you get arrested. I returned to Hendrheim, excited to clear my inventory of child stalls. I went to my daughter and told her I had a gift. I lied. I was only able to give her false hope and a broken heart, as I was stuck with these damn dolls. 42 pounds of space, permanently taken up by 21 cloth dolls that are needed for a non-existent quest. Thanks, Todd. With my new handicap fresh in my mind, I decided it was time to finish the loop. I farmed for as many random ingredients as I could. This resulted in enough ingredients for me to raise my alchemy up just high enough to get the loop going. This failed once when I first started, as I was using outdated alchemy boosting gear, but it was an easy fix. I enchanted some new jewelry and was ready to go. This was so exciting. All my work, literally 7 hours of prep work, brought me to this very point. I was ready. I was ready to turn alchemy into my bitch, but alchemy had other plans. I boosted my skill bonus to such a high number the game committed toaster bath. My stream was ended and I was devastated. As soon as I was ready and excited to grab Skyrim by its bug-infested gumballs and make its RAM space my RAM space, it did this. It was me who ended up fucked. This was disheartening, but luckily I saved with almost everything set up, meaning all I needed to do was recreate my steps from before. Instead of pulling an Icarus, I took a page from Pluto, my favorite planet's book, and stayed as far away from the metaphorical sun as possible. This left me with items so powerful that it makes Mjolnir and the Power Rangers katanas look like the elements of harmony. Excited to try my new items out, I went to buy some poison ingredients, making poisons capable of damage over 1 million points. This was the endgame, the home stretch, the final lap, almost done, minus the entire main questline. Luckily, nothing stands in our way now. We set off to complete the first quest. I took my overpowered cheeks up to the top of the mountain to take the coloring book from the temperamental 2-year-olds we called bandits. Next, I made my way inside and through Bleak Falls Barrow. This was mostly simple, minus the webs and the final enemy, the boss. The webs were unable to be taken down within our means. Apparently they have some health, as my 0 damage sword was completely incapable of cutting through them, even with my poison applied. This was unfortunate, and I had to use my fishing rod to cut it down, and Arvel the shit down. I chased Arvel, letting the Draugr have the honor of spanking him for me, allowing me to break into his tenderized buttocks and steal the golden claw. After this was smooth sailing, minus something I mentioned earlier, the final boss of the dungeon. This guy is a Draugr Deathlord, who happens to be immune to poison. Like, what the hell, man? When I said earlier that I didn't know he was immune, this is where I found out. I led him from the final room back to the middle section of the map, where I had to have him stand in the axe hallway, letting those blades kill him. Like alchemy earlier, those hallway blades had plans of their own. The guy who had the Dragonstone got pushed through the wall, only to disappear forever. I was in mental distraught as I did my best to recover from the situation I'd been unable to see despite my $700 reading. The tarot cards lied to me. I loaded a pass save, and having no other means of defeating him, without failing the challenge, I led him back to those blades from before for round 2. But they actually killed him this time. It was awesome. I took the Dragonstone and made my way to Dragon's Reach, where I gave it to the wizard dude, and got a free handy from the fancy French girl, Jarl Balin, in return for my troubles. I pissed on a dragon with a literal dong of a weapon, completely dripping with a sticky substance that may or may not be 3 million points of you-know-what. Poison. Thankful that dragons aren't immune to poison, I returned to Jarl Balgruuf, who informed me that my mama is too thick to have any visitors, so I have to stay with Grandpa's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up on High Hrothgar. I made my way up to the Greybeard's place, where I was greeted by creepy old men in pajamas. This being something I'm used to, I went inside and got prepared for anything that came next. I learned some dragon slang, put my clothes back on, and was told to recover a horn from a tomb. This was a really weird innuendo, but it was pretty easy. I slipped in through the back end, retrieved the horn faster than I had expected. The horn turned out to have been yoinked already by an unknown bitch named Delphine. We confront her, being given the horn, returning to High Hrothgar for another voice orgy. I learned the rest of Fus Ro Dah and helped Delphine defeat a dragon. This all was made trivial, even on legendary difficulty, thanks in whole to my very powerful poisons, each doing over 1 million damage. This led to me having to infiltrate the Thelmore Embassy, which taught me a few things. The platters are the best item for wall clipping. The hitbox is huge and it is honestly hard to fail, especially when you're used to buckets. That being said, it took me a few minutes to get it down, but I swear, it's easier than any other method I am aware of. Along with that, you don't actually have to cause a distraction, as long as you can get through the door. The quest will continue any way you go about it. Pretty neat, not gonna lie. I forgot to bring in poisons, as I didn't think my sword would come in with me, but since it was a quest item, it came in with me, along with my 42 pounds of children's dolls. I snuck through the embassy, not getting seen even once thanks to my god armor, and tried to find an alchemy table to create some poisons to maybe save our homies tied up in the basement. I swear, there wasn't a single alchemy table. I backtracked, looked everywhere I could. I had ingredients, but nothing to make them into a poison with. Where's the Oblivion and Morrowind alchemy system when you need them, man? After letting down my friends, I stole the key from a guard and was able to return to Delphine. She wanted me to go find an old man that lives with the teenage mutant velociraptors in the rift in Radaway. This was simple, only involving the death of a few assholes who didn't understand the concept of personal space. These happened to be the guys from way earlier, on my first venture through the Radaway. After turning them into sushi, I went to find Esbern. When you find him, he has to unlock a door, and you can hear him doing so, but you are unable to see him through normal means. I clipped behind to see what it looked like. It was underwhelming. He stands in front of the door playing unlocking sounds on his invisible Yamaha soundboard, doing literally nothing. I led his elderly ass back to Delphine, who was excited to meet an old man that isn't her husband. They talk and inform us of a mural that'll help us defeat Alduin through the power of cultural art. Though we couldn't be bothered to care why it was significant, we still set off to get this quest completed. We sneak through a Forsworn camp, ending up at the mural inside of a temple that serves as the Blade's HQ. This is where we learn of a shout, one used in the last battle against Alduin. This leaves us with one option, and that's to find an Elder Scroll capable of letting us glimpse the past when the shout was used last. This is the only way to learn the shout, as no one alive will tell us. We grab the Elder Scroll from a dungeon and go to the Throat of the World, where we see the last battle against Alduin, learning Dragonrend during the show. Next is to capture a dragon in Dragon's Reach, but in order to do so, we need Jarl Balin to allow us to capture a dragon in his palace. This turns out to be easy despite what I thought would happen, as all we need is to talk with Jarl Ulfric Stormcuck and leader of the Simperial's General Silliness, working out a truce. This takes time. A lot of time. The talking part. You talk to both of them, then return to High Hrothgar, then spend the next 15 minutes watching an unskippable cutscene where nothing cool happens. You can't mess with them, you can't even shout at them. It's horribles. So you wait, and wait, and wait some more, then wait. When it's over, you return to Dragon's Reach and call a dragon. The dragon comes like a good little slave and gets stepsis stuck, and this leads to the proverbial penetration of the dragon's mental defense. After we finished our business inside his head, we are taken by Dr. Aegon to the final dungeon to find the entrance to Sovngarde, the warrior equivalent to Pirate Heaven. We sneak inside easily, skip fighting the Dragon Priest, and face Alduin, who goes down easily. Maybe too easily. He goes down in one hit, as he doesn't have 3 million hit points and isn't immune to poison. What a bitch. We return to Skyrim and talk with Party Snacks, ending the run. This is the end of Steely McSteeler's story. We did beat Skyrim using only potions on legendary difficulty. The hardest part, by far, was the farming of materials. The hardest non-farming aspect was the damn Draugr that held the Dragonstone. The hardest non-story mission was the battle for Helheim. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe. You won't regret it. Also, I wanted to get some Netch Jelly to jump off of High Hrothgar, so I went to Solstheim, tried getting some from a store, didn't find any, tried stealing some from people, couldn't find any, tried stealing some from houses, couldn't find any, so I went to hunt some Netch. Didn't work at first. The first ones were on water, and I had no idea how to defeat them using poisons and my sword. I didn't kill those ones. I had to go find more. I slaughtered all the ones I did find and returned to High Hrothgar, where I proudly whirlwind sprinted off, ate the Netch Jelly, and became paralyzed for like half a second. It sucked, very underwhelming. But I got a neat glitch where the camera was stuck in the paralysis position, causing the whole thing to look funky. Anyway, that is the end of everything. Thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in more Skyrim content, please subscribe to PQ Trogdor 2021. His content is all about Skyrim, from funny glitches to weird encounters. He hasn't uploaded recently though. Hope you're doing good, PQ, if you're watching this. If you like this challenge content, also subscribe to me. I enjoy doing challenge runs. If you have any challenge run ideas for anything, let us know down in the comments. If you made it to the last few minutes, leave Prolapse Pure Away down in the comment section. Thank you, and enjoy your time.